Do you have multiple smart home devices with consoles to manage every one of them? Would you like to have a central console to use with just about everything you have? Well, stay tuned, and I'm going to show you how to do this using Home Assistant and Unraid. Welcome to another edition of Tech Bites with Ron Nutter, your home for all things relating to smart home technology. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to manage your smart home using Home Assistant and Unraid. Sense a pattern here? Hi, I'm Ron Nutter, and we're going to be working on this together. This content is also available as an Amazon Flash Briefing or podcast. Please go to techbiteswithronnutter.com for more information. For any items mentioned in this episode, there are affiliate links in the description. If you click on these links, I will get a small commission, but that won't affect the price you pay for the item. If you want to get notified when new content is uploaded, please click on subscribe and enable notifications. Now here's what we're going to be covering in this video, and it's how to manage your smart home using Home Assistant and Unraid. First, we're going to go over what is Home Assistant. If you haven't heard of it, you really want to know about this one. The required items you're going to need. We'll go over installing Home Assistant, and then we'll kind of show you what's involved to get started. This is just going to be an overview. There is so much detail here that I've got a lot of videos planned that will go into a lot more detail. Well, if you haven't heard about Home Assistant, oh buddy, do you need to spend some time and dig into this one. This has got a lot of potential. Let's shift over here. This is the Home Assistant website, and it's shorter to name the platforms this won't run on than it is the ones that it will. So there's really, you can do it almost anything from a full-blown conventional computer using Docker to a Raspberry Pi. So really, it's got all the bases covered. It's, you know, for if you really want to take it and use it, but really don't want to fool with the installation, well, you've got something called Home Assistant Blue. They have a conference that's available. They have all sorts of integrations here. And if we go down and click on the integrations tab, this is just an overview of what's available. They've got Shelly, Plex, you name it, they've got it. You can go down the list, and if you're not sure if they've got what you want, we'll just type it in abbreviation into the search field, and you'll see, like for DNS, you've got an ability to talk to Namecheap's DNS, Free DNS, Duck DNS. There's a lot of potential here, and this is something that has the ability to grow with you. I looked at this several years ago, and it kind of left me wanting because there was a lot of under the hood stuff you had to do, and then when it broke, well, then how do you go fix it? Well, a lot of this is a little more streamlined, and it's going to be easier to take a look at things. That's where we're going to leave it, because now we're going to jump to the installation and get things started. In terms of what you're going to need to get this up and running, you're going to have to install Home Assistant under Docker. And with Unraid, which is the second requirement, it helps make some of that a little bit easier. I'm not saying you can't do this in other configurations, but I have been finding more and more things I can do with Unraid. So this is something that just can kind of come along for the ride. Very easy to get up and running. Now, get things started, you're going to have to get it installed on top of Unraid. You can go to the apps tab, and I've already got it pinned because this is one of the early ones that I picked that I wanted to have. So I'm using the Home Assistant that's in the Linux server distribution, or however you want to use the term in Docker. So we'll click on install. I always do something like this because there's going to be a lot of activity back and forth that you don't want to just assume that things are going to work, because there's going to be all sorts of port mappings and everything else. So I give this one its own unique IP address. So I'm going to click on custom, and this is already set up. So what we'll do is do 10.0.1.222, and it's got to be on the same subnet. So if you've not done this before, that's what you need to look at. And let's go show more settings. So this all looks right. Shouldn't really need to change much here, but I always want to check it. Just sometimes you have to go change something. Knowing where this path is, you can always get this information later. It's going to help you if you need to do any troubleshooting. So we're going to tell it to start the container after install, and then we'll let it run its course. Now it says it's completed, but if you've seen some of my other Unraid videos, you know that it may not always really be complete. So we will go over here to Docker, and we'll click on the logo, and we will go down here to logs, and let's see if it's really complete. All right, I would say it probably is. Everything looks okay, but this is where I've been stung by a couple of the containers, so I just wanted to make sure it was actually done. So we'll click over to Web UI. This is the first time we're getting in, so we will just enter a username and password to get started. I would definitely encourage you, as soon as you get an account up and running, document what you used, and B, create a backup admin account just to be on the safe side. And we'll be good users and let them have information to help figure out what's going on. It shows you some of the things that it's able to find out, so that's fine. This is things it's picking up off of my network. So I'll click on finish. So at this point, you're ready to go. I mean, that's all it takes to get this up and running. And trust me, it's a pleasant change when that's all that it is. So if we go in here to configuration, then integrations. Okay, this is what it's all picked up. This is going to give you a starting point, whether it's LiFX. I've got, of course, Elgato lights for my studio lighting, and I wondered why the last time it didn't pick these up when I was doing another installation. That's because they weren't on. Novel concept. But it's picking up on just about everything I've got. There's a few things that may not have direct integrations for, but if you followed my videos for the Sense smart home monitoring, it's got that. It knows about the Philips Hue bulbs. It's got something to get you started, and it's telling you, hey, these are not configured, but this is a place to jump off, and then you can always see with the adding things where you may need to go to get started. Some of these things I'm going to probably end up deleting most of them as I get started, and we'll say, yes, I want to be logged in. This is just a test instance of HomeAssistant. Anyway, let's shift over here to my production one. Now, this is what I didn't want to spoil things for you and get you. I wanted to walk you through the installation and show you what it looked like it started. This is where I'm currently going with my production system. And you can see I've got 2 LiFX bulbs. Direct integration couldn't have been easier to put in place. With Sense, which is a whole home electric monitoring system, at this point, I'm not watching everything. I'm more concerned because of my local power company and their challenges with supplying power on a consistent basis. I want to watch both legs of the power line coming into the house because there's starting to be a problem. I should see something that way. If you've seen my videos in AdGuard, and I'm going to be doing videos on all of these going into much more detail. This is just kind of the overview to get you started. But you can see AdGuard integrates in. So now you start to have the potential for a single universal management console. So instead of having to have one for AdGuard, one for Sense, another for LiFX, and some of these only operate on smartphone, but this at least gives you an ability to have a central console regardless of how you're going to do it. So there's a lot of potential here. If you have anything that you'd like to see me work with on Home Assistant, and I don't already have the hardware, I'll reach out to that company, or I'll just flat order it if it's reasonably priced. And there's a whole host of things that you're going to see that this has a lot of potential. Start looking at this, kick the tires a little bit, and if you're not sure on how to do something, please let me know, because I would be happy to walk through some of this with you and for you, because like I said, this has come a long way from what it was when I last looked at it about a couple of years ago, and I'm very impressed with what I saw. It's picking up on the things it simply didn't do in the past, and it's something well worth looking at for your smart home network. And you're going to see more videos coming, because I'm really excited about Home Assistant, because it has a lot of potential to make managing your smart home a little bit easier. If you're watching this on YouTube, you will see videos on the screen that are similar to the one you've just watched, or other content that YouTube thinks you might be interested in. If this video helps you or provides value, please click on the like button, thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please click on subscribe now and enable notifications. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.